Good morning, You Can Heal family. Welcome back to another wonderful day as we're wrapping up 2023. I had a wonderful group coaching call this morning, and it didn't dawn on me because it's something I always knew and believed, but now I really got it down in my spirit, like down in my heart, right, area, that when people say things that they'd like to see happen for them, you know you can do it, and you believe you can, but the question is do I really believe I can reach that? And I think I was inspired today because I heard so many wonderful goals that people have coming up for next year. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that because we're going to put a plan in place and have action steps, and just felt really excited inside of my body. I just felt like there are people in the world, okay? Not just the women on the call today, but everywhere. Even you, talking to you right now. You have goals and dreams. But if you felt like you've been so crushed down by life and the world and other people and circumstances, it's kind of like you're carrying this weight, oh, there's no way I can have that for me. But I'm telling you, if you keep working on yourself and healing from the inside, anything you think and imagine can be yours if it's a desire given to you by God. So just remember that, dream big, write down what you want to see happen. Don't focus on too many things at once, but break that thing down into actionable steps and go for it. And really, really believe in your core of you, who God created, that you can do it and it's possible. And surround yourself with good people. Now, our group coaching calls, you're around good people, okay? The third Saturday, I'm so excited. The next one will be January 20th. And I'm really on fire to have this support group. I really feel like that's what it is. It's a support group for women, and I did it all last year in 2023, but I think something's going to shift in 2024. I feel it in my spirit. I feel the crushing and the pressing, and I, like that olive has to go through all those stages, that Jacqueline Carr song, right? And I feel that, change is right there for you. Just believe in you. Take those breaths and really settle in and ask yourself, what do I want? How do I really want my life to look? Write it down and start putting that plan in place to get there. I'm looking forward to it. I read my goals out loud and it just felt so good, and I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to my life. I'm looking forward to my future. I have that expected hope inside, and I do believe that something good is not only going to happen to me, but to you this year. So feel the energy, feel the spirit flowing, and just let every inhibition go. Is that the right word? Just don't believe in your heart. Don't believe in your head. Believe in your heart that it is for you, that there's a seed ready to be planted and coming to fruition, right? The fruit. You're going to bear fruit in 2024. Keep working on yourself. Keep working on your healing, okay? Now, this video is not over. We're going to be reading Esther Chapter 9. And, we learned that Haman died. He got hanged on the own gallows he made for Mordecai. And now Esther went to the king and talked to him about it, so they were able to defend themselves. And, the Jews are feeling really strong. Yesterday, Mordecai had on his fine linens in purple and blue. And all is well with the Jews. They're ready to defend themselves. And God is ready to help you, fight for you and help you reach those goals. Don't leave him out in this upcoming year. And partner with him, right? And spend time with him in the morning. 7 o'clock, we're together every morning. Amen. Unless, I get a little off schedule. But my goal is to stay consistent with that. And just enjoy my new tribe, my new You Can Heal family. I just really feel like we're going to grow together this year. And I'm not holding anything back. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to talk to you in the car or whenever I get the opportunity. shoot these videos and just let it be what it's going to be. So, if, yeah, you might see the inside of my house, my car. I don't know, but I'm not going to make it hard. And that's another thing. If you want to try YouTube, don't make it hard. Just if you've got something inside of you want to say, just open your mouth. That's what Jesus did in the world. He spoke the world into existence. So we're going to follow that model because it worked, right? We got sky, we got grass, we got trees, we got fish, we got birds. All right? And God had to speak those things. So we're going to speak what we want. We're going to say our I am statements. We're going to affirm ourselves. We're going to believe in our heart that what we're hoping for is for you. It's for you. And I'm excited for you. You know, let's get in the comments together. Let's chat. And let's just do this. Let's just do this. 2024, let's go. Let's go. All right, we'll be back with our Bible reading. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. That's it. Oh, I'm on my way to see my grandson. I get to babysit today for a few hours. So that's where I'm headed, if you wanted to know. And he's the cutest thing. I'll ask my daughter if I can post a picture. The new moms, you know, I gotta make sure it's okay. But if she says yes, I will show you guys a picture of me in Phoenix on the next video. Or on this one, actually, if she says yes. Alrighty. See you later. Bye. Okay, You Can Heal family, I'm back. I had a wonderful time with my grandson. I did get some cute pics and videos, but I'll just have to keep them all to myself for right now. But he was a lot of fun. I had to feed him and change him and had him giggling, and we had a really nice time together. And then I ended up getting the girls' hair organized for church tomorrow. So now we're going to settle in and take a look at Esther, and we're going to finish Esther today. We're going to look at chapters 9 and 10. 10 is super short. And then there's a little article here too that we'll read. So let's get to it. Again, thanks for joining me for the hearing of God's word, because we know faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. Esther chapter 9, victories on the first day. So on March 7th, the 2 decrees of the king were put into effect. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to destroy them, but quite the opposite happened. The Jews gathered in their cities throughout all the king's provinces to defend themselves against anyone who might try to harm them. But no one could make a stand against them, for everyone was afraid of them. And all the commanders of the provinces, the princes, the governors, and the royal officials helped the Jews for fear of Mordecai. For Mordecai had been promoted in the king's palace, and his fame spread throughout all the provinces as he became more and more powerful. That's just so good. That's the same Mordecai who was dressed in ashes and sackcloth and sitting out in front of the gate. And look at that. God just put him in the place he was supposed to be, in the position. So you might think you're down and out and things aren't going well for you, but God will raise you up. Just stay faithful and don't give up. Verse 5 says, But the Jews went ahead on the appointed day and struck down their enemies with the sword. They killed and annihilated their enemies and did as they pleased with those who hated them. They killed 500 people in the fortress of Susa. They also killed Parshandatha, Dalphon, Aspathath, Poratha, Adalia, Aridatha, Parmashata, Arizai, Aridai, and Vaziatha, the 10 sons of Haman, son of Hamandatha, the enemy of the Jews, but they did not take any plunder. That evening, when the king was informed of the number of people killed in the fortress of Susa, he called for Queen Esther and said, The Jews have killed 500 people in the fortress of Susa alone, and also Haman's 10 sons. If they have done that here, what has happened in the rest of the provinces? But now, what more do you want? It will be granted to you. Tell me, and I will do it. Victories on the second day. Verse 13. And Esther said, If it please your majesty, give the Jews in Susa permission to do again tomorrow as they have done today, and have the bodies of Haman's 10 sons hung from the gallows. So the king agreed, and the decree was announced in Susa. They also hung the bodies of Haman's 10 sons from the gallows. Then the Jews at Susa gathered together on March 8th and killed 300 more people, though again they took no plunder. So taking no plunder means that nothing happened to them. It says the actions of the Jews were not motivated by greed or covetousness, but by the desire for self-protection and justice. Verse 16, the festival of Purim. Meanwhile, the other Jews throughout the king's provinces had gathered together to defend their lives. They gained relief from all their enemies, killing 75,000 of those who hated them. But they did not take any plunder. Throughout the provinces, this was done on March 7th. Then on the following day, they rested, celebrated their victory with a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews at Susa continued killing their enemies on the second day also, and then rested on the third day, making that their day of feasting and gladness. So to this day, rural Jews living in the unwalled villages celebrate an annual festival and holiday in late winter, when they rejoice and send gifts to each other. Mordecai recorded these events and sent letters to the Jews near and far throughout all the king's provinces, encouraging them to celebrate an annual festival of these 2 days. He told them to celebrate these days with feasting and gladness, and by giving gifts to each other and to the poor. This would commemorate a time when the Jews gained relief from their enemies, when their sorrow was turned into gladness and their mourning into joy. So the Jews adopted Mordecai's suggestion and began this annual custom. Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews, had plotted to crush and destroy them on the day and month determined by casting lots. The lots were called Purim. But when Esther came before the king, he issued a decree causing Haman's evil plot to backfire, and Haman and his sons were hanged on the gallows. That is why this celebration is called Purim, because it is the ancient word for casting lots. So because of Mordecai's letter and because of what they had experienced, the Jews throughout the realm agreed to inaugurate this tradition and to pass it on to their descendants and to all who became Jews. They declared they would never fail to celebrate these 2 prescribed days at the appointed time each year. These days would be remembered and kept from generation to generation and celebrated by every family throughout the provinces and cities of the empire. These days would never cease to be celebrated among the Jews, nor would the memory of what happened ever die out among their descendants. Verse 29, Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, along with Mordecai the Jew, wrote another letter putting the queen's full authority behind Mordecai's letter to establish the festival of Purim. In addition, letters wishing peace and security were sent to the Jews throughout the 127 provinces of the empire of Xerxes. These letters established the festival of Purim, an annual celebration of these days at the appointed time decreed by both Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther. The people decided to observe this festival just as they had decided for themselves and their descendants to establish the times of fasting and mourning. So the command of Esther confirmed the practices of Purim, and it was all written down in the records. And chapter 10 says the fame of Mordecai. King Xerxes imposed tribute throughout his empire, even to the distant coastlands. His great achievements and the full account of the greatest of Mordecai, whom the king had promoted, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Media and Persia. Mordecai the Jew became the prime minister with authority next to that of King Xerxes himself. He was very great among the Jews, who held him in high esteem, because he worked for the good of his people and was a friend at the royal court for all of them. Oh, it's such a good book, right? Mordecai held his ground. He didn't back down. He knew who he was. And in the end, he was exalted, right? He was second to the king and he was well respected. So don't back down. Know who you are. Don't give in to pressures of any kind, right? And there's a little section that talks about this miraculous deliverance that we just read. It says, one of the clearest messages of the Old Testament is that God is a compassionate deliverer who will use his power to help his people. Sennacherib, king of Assyria, discovered this truth about 701 BC when he attacked the city of Jerusalem. With his large army and instruments of siege warfare, he felt certain he could prevail over the weaker Judean forces under King Hezekiah. But the Lord intervened on behalf of his people. The angel of the Lord went out to the Assyrian camp and killed 185,000 Assyrian troops. When the surviving Assyrians woke up the next morning, they found corpses everywhere. God has the power to deliver even today if we will give him control and let him work his will in our lives. Here are several other specific cases of God's miraculous deliverance of his people in Old Testament times. So there's a little chart, and it says the name, which was Noah and his family, and the action God did was deliver them from the flood by the ark in Genesis 6:8. Then there was the miracle of Lot and his family that were saved from the fiery destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19:29. And then the nation of Israel delivered from the Egyptian slavery through the Exodus, preserved by the miraculous feedings in the wilderness. Right? So you had the manna from heaven, remember, come down. And then the Israelites, they were saved from poisonous snakes by looking at a bronze snake on a pole. And that's the symbol of that medicine sign, right? And then there was David and his army, and they were saved from capture by Saul's army on numerous occasions in 1 Samuel 23. And then there was Elijah, who was fed by the ravens in the wilderness in 1 Kings 17. The 3 young Hebrew men were delivered from Nebuchadnezzar's fiery furnace, and that's almost Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 3:19-30. And then Daniel was preserved and unharmed among the lions. Remember the story in Daniel chapter 6 of Daniel in the lion's den. So God is a big God, and he's in his power, right? His power is greater than anything, and he does deliver, and he does bring us through. I've been through hard times, and I'm sure you listening, you've been through some hard times, but you're listening today, so you know you got through it, and God's faithful. So let those little stories or names be a reminder to you that if God did it then, he can do it today. He is your great deliverer. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. And always remember, true healing begins with self-love. Why? Because God is love, and he lives on the inside of you. Bye for now.